You may be wondering why I have a tiger in the background. If you've seen the thumbnail and read the title of the video, this is obviously going to be me talking about another Digidestined. I'm going to be talking about Meiko Mochizuki and her Digimon partner Meicoomon. Meicoomon is orange and blackish and such, and she's a cat, so I decided to go with a tiger in the background. So I brought out my nice tiger. Yeah, probably haven't seen him for a little while. This video is going to be about Maki and Meiko and Meicoomon. And then the next one after this one is going to be about Maki Himekawa and Diego Nishijima, who are going to be who are the two adult, kind of former Digidestined that the Digidestined that Tai and his group interact with during the Digimon Digimon Adventure Tri series. So Meiko's pretty much whole story takes place over that point of time. Throughout those, the 6 episodes or so, the 6 movies that they did for Digimon Adventure Tri. So first off on that, I'm going to talk about just basically like the line that her Digimon has. Of course, we have Meicoomon. Meicoomon goes from Meicoomon to Meicoomon Saltation. Meicoomon Saltation. And then we have Macrachmon, Vicious Mode. And then we have Regulamon. And then Ordinamon, which is when she DNA digivolves with Ophanimon Fallen Down mode. Which is, then where we get our Denimon from, of course. Meicoomon is a very interesting Digimon, and Meiko is kind of an interesting Digidestined. I am kind of gonna go in like the order to a degree that it happens like for Meiko. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about her past first, and then of course I'll go into the different episodes, the different, the movies where we see more and more of her and learn about her and her Digimon. So, the first time we actually meet Meiko is in, of course, the first episode of Digimon Reunion, or the first movie that they have. She is in the same class as Tai and like Matt and like Sora. She goes to the same high school as them, as like Sora and Mimi and Izzy, and not Joe, because he's already he's at a different high school or already in college or so. But what ends up happening is in Meiko's past, she received her Digivice in the fall of 1999, the same year as the original Digidestined. That was, Tai and his group that they went to the digital world. Theirs was in the summer, but hers was in the fall. And then when she met Meicoomon one day, she appeared to, she met Meicoomon, who was, of course, her Digimon. And the two of them bonded instantly. And through some flashbacks that we get with Meiko, we'll see some more of like her and Meicoomon, and I'll kind of talk about those as we go a little bit. They bonded instantly, and the two of them were just like inseparable to a degree. And the downside is that any time that they were separated, things did not go well, because one time Meicoomon, Meiko's father, took Meicoomon to do some studying on her. I don't think they actually hurt her or anything. I don't think he wants to hurt this creature that means so much to his daughter, but he was just doing some, like minor tests on her. And unfortunately, she kind of went crazy. And she actually ended up causing a lot of damage to the lab. And the only way they got her to calm down was having Meiko show up. And, Meiko showed up, and she was able to calm Meicoomon down and get her to, de-digivolve or change back into her normal form. Meicoomon is actually the champion form. She does have like an in-training and a baby form, but we don't ever get the names for those. They just kind of look like Salamon and then like Nyaromon, because like she's kind of supposed to be like a counterpoint line to like Gatomon in regard to that, because like Kari and Meiko are actually quite similar in regards to, they both want people and like Digimon to be able to get along and everything. But Meicoomon unfortunately has this type of a virus inside of her that I'll go through a little bit later, that I'll explain a little bit later in the video. And if you're watching these, and as I said before, if you've watched like all of these discussions and you haven't watched Digimon Adventure Tri and Digimon The Last Evolution, go watch those, because as much as I can talk about them, I cannot do them justice in the beauty of the animation and even the character development that we see. You know, as I said before, my one gripe with them is that they don't talk about like Davis and Yoli and Ken and Cody, and they don't talk about them really. They like gloss over them. But for the most part, I do love this. I loved what they did with the series. For the Digimon Adventure Tribe. But with Meiko and Meicoomon, Meiko, of course, ends up going to the same high school that Tai and Izzy and the others go to, and she's in Tai's class. And one day, they're out wandering around Odaiba, and Meiko is trying to find Meicoomon. She keeps saying that her cat got lost, and she runs into the Digidestin that are out there, Tai and his group, that are out there. This is when they're kind of trying to force Tai and Matt to kind of like get along and everything, after they've all been reunited with their Digimon, and Tai and Matt are still like butting heads. But they recognize Meiko from their class, so it's like, oh yeah, we'll help you look for your cat. And they they're trying to help her find her cat, and like Alphamon, who is this extremely powerful Digimon, shows up, and he starts wrecking things and causing problems. And then like Tai and Matt, they're War Greymon and Metalgarurumon, DNA Digivolve into Omnimon, and they fight Alphamon. And then it's revealed that Meiko is a Digidestined, and her cat that she was looking for is her Digimon, Meicoomon. And they're all just like, oh yay, another Digidestined for, to be our friend type of a thing. Because at this point, this is like after everything that happened with like A Million Points of Light in the anime, and, they've, Izzy has kind of made this like Digidestin network around the world with like all these other Digidestins with, with their Digimon and everything all over the world. So it's not like they don't know about other Digidestin, but they like meeting other Digidestined, of course. And they didn't know about Meiko, and she's their same age and in the same area as they are. And then we get to the second movie, so Determination. Mimi organizes this big trip to go to this Osen, which is this giant spa place that I want to go to one of these places because they look so fun. They go to this big like spa place, and it's like all of them, and the only one that doesn't go is Joe, because he's having his own issues at this point in time, as I've stated in like Joe's video and a bunch of the other videos. They go, and it's also just to like help Tai and Matt like have to like patch up their relationship more. And they bring Meiko and Meicoomon and everything, and like they're just having so much fun, and like the girls are having fun with Meiko, and like the girls Digimon are having fun with Meicoomon. And they're all just laughing, and they're enjoying the food, and they're enjoying just getting to relax, and and everything. And what ends up happening is Meicoomon and Biomon get separated from the rest of the group, and they accidentally get lost, and they end up getting lost in the men's section of the bathhouse, which is not good. And so Mimi and the others are like, okay, well, we got to go in there and find them. So this is when we get like this whole bit of like the girls running around in like the guys' area, but like they're like trying to like cover their faces so that way they don't like see anything. Anything that's, too high up, they don't want to look below the belt type of a thing. And, so the guys are in there, so we just have like funny interactions with that. And they do manage to get Meiko and, they do manage to get Meicoomon and Biomon out of there. And like, so they are able to get them, but there's just like, like problems ensue, and like, it's just like, so many things happen that are just funny to watch. It's just more like gag thing that happens. And then, in that episode, of course, is also when they're going to be doing the cultural festival at their high school. And Meiko joins Mimi in regards to helping figure out stuff for their class's project. And of course, this is when Mimi says, oh, well, why don't we do this, kind of like a cafe type of a thing based on like Daters, which is as I stated in Mimi's video, is kind of this play off of like Hooters, with, you know, the girls in slightly more skimpy outfits and everything. And Meiko and Mimi are, you know, having fun and like bonding and everything. And they end up going off to this, you know, this like place where they can, you know, costume store. Well, it's not a costume store, it's just like a, you know, like a clothing store. And like they're looking around trying to find ideas for the costumes. And Biomon or Palmon and Meicoomon end up getting dressed up, and like Meicoomon looks like a little ninja and it's adorable, and like Palmon looks like a little geisha. They're just so cute. And what ends up happening is, you know, Mimi and Meiko are like very much, you know, bonding and everything. Like Mimi's like, "Can I just give you a nickname? I'm gonna call you Mei." And like Sora had previously said, it's like a nickname is supposed to be shorter than their actual name, Mimi. And like Mimi's like, "I don't care if she is dubbed Mei." In regards to that. And, you know, Mimi and Meiko are getting along great, and like Palmon and Meicoomon are getting along really well. And, you know, they're trying to come up with designs, and Meiko's actually able to like draw out the design that Mimi kind of wanted for like the cheerleading outfits. They're a little, you know, they're revealing and stuff like that. But as I've stated before with Mimi doesn't mind showing off. Meiko is a lot more hesitant about the outfit, but Mimi and Meiko kind of talk and everything, and they go to this cafe, and, you know, that's when they get the design ready. And then, unfortunately, this is when Ogremon attacks. Ogremon, that is their friend Ogremon, comes out of a portal. He's unfortunately been infected by the virus that keeps spreading in the digital world and spreading to the other Digimon. And, you know, Mimi kind of wants to, you know, prove to the world that, you know, oh, Digimon aren't all bad, and that, like, if we can, like, calm down Ogremon, because she recognizes him. You know, Meiko is kind of willing to go along with this. She's like, "Oh, you know this Digimon? Yeah, we know this Digimon. His name's Ogremon, and he was our friend, but for some reason he's, you know, something's wrong with him." And so Palmon digivolves into Togemon, and then Meicoomon helps, you know, trying to fight Ogremon and trying to get him to calm down. This is when, you know, Leomon shows up and he pulls Ogremon back through the portal so they can, you know, so as I stated, I think I stated this, or I talked about this in Ogremon's video at whatever point in time that I talk about him. I don't remember exactly how that lands compared to this video, but I don't remember if I don't think Ogremon gets destroyed in that case, or if he does get reborn. But for the Leomon Ogremon video that I talked about, you know, it's like Meiko's Digivice keeps having problems, and what ends up happening is, you know, because they're wanting to keep the Digimon from getting infected and stuff like that, Meicoomon is kind of staying with the other Digimon at Izzy's office and everything, and like they get, you know, Leomon comes and like he meets everyone, and Meiko makes the different outfits for like her and Mimi to wear, you know, helping with making those and everything. Meiko is also shown to be kind of on the clumsy side, is how she's kind of portrayed. You know, a little more on the clumsy side, less graceful than Mimi is, or even Sora or Kari. She's, you know, a lot more, you know, prone to, like, you know, pricking herself with the needles whenever she's sewing or stuff like that. But she makes the outfits, and then she wears them with Mimi when they're doing the cafe. And what ends up happening is Meiko, you know, while Meiko and Mimi are at the cafe at their school, you know, in their class, running the cafe and everything, Meicoomon and the other Digimon are trying to convince Leomon to take them to the festival, because they want to go there and everything. And Meicoomon just gives Leomon the biggest like, "Oh, but I just want to go to the festival," like the big puppy dog eyes. And she's adorable, and Leomon's just like, "Oh God, my heart, she's so cute." Like the other Digimon are just like, "Seriously?" And so like Leomon agrees, and he takes them there. They're all under, like, hiding under his trench coat, and like they get separated from Leomon. And then because like they're trying to find a way to get to the food, they end up entering this costume contest. It's like the cute and creepy costume contest or something along those lines. And what ends up happening is Meicoomon wins the costume contest, and the other Digidestined, they're like, oh my god, why are they here? They're not supposed to be here. So they're like trying to keep the Digimon happy. After they get them away from the costume contest, which, as I said, Meicoomon wins, and Matt's like, Gabumon should have won. Because, of course, they all think their own Digimon should win the costume contest, because, you know, they all love their Digimon, but they also love each other's Digimon, as I've stated before in other videos about the Digidestined. But what we see is Meicoomon, you know, Meiko has to keep being at the cafe and everything with Mimi. And Meicoomon ends up kind of wandering off, and she finds Maki, who's one of the agents that's keeping an eye on them, her and Diego Nishijima. And she, you know, takes Meicoomon, and she's like, how about I go and get you a treat? You stay here and I'll go get you a treat and everything. And she's like, okay. And, you know, Maki goes off, and then while Maki was gone, a impersonator version of Ken shows up. And this impersonator version of Ken is actually Dark Genai, and Dark Genai is there to try to like mess something up with Meicoomon. There's something about Meicoomon that they need. We find out later on that Meicoomon has a piece of a virus inside of her that has continued to grow, and that she is actually the cause of this virus that is spreading from the Digimon and spreading to the Digimon and in the digital world and everything. That Meicoomon is kind of this, not like this epidemic of it, not like the center of it, but she is a very important key in it. She's referred to as an item that's called the Libre, which is like balance, like with the zodiac sign for balancing, with the scales. And it's just more like, okay, how do you fight with, you know, how can you, you know, stop her without actually killing her? And, you know, Ken is about ready to take Meicoomon into the digital world, and like Mimi and Meiko and like the rest of the Digidestined show up, and like, you know, they're fighting against him and everything. And this is when Mimi and Joe, when they kind of make their breakthrough in regards to connecting with their Digimon. So like they're fighting against Ken, and Leomon's there and he's helping, and they do manage to get Meicoomon back. But unfortunately, Leomon is the one holding her, and unfortunately Meicoomon kind of snaps. She has like a post-traumatic stress thing that happens where she kind of like snaps, and unfortunately she attacks Leomon, and this is when she digivolves into her saltation or so form, which is kind of more the virus interacting with her more form. And she attacks Leomon, and it does destroy Leomon, tears him apart, and to the Digidestined horror, of course. And what ends up happening is then Meicoomon is able to make a portal, and she disappears into the digital world. And Meiko is, of course, you know, horrified by this, and her Digivice had turned black. And so it's inside of her purse, so they don't see this, but it turns black. And, you know, Meicoomon is now kind of just going crazy, and she vanished. And, you know, Meiko is she's just like begging and begging, and has a breakdown, and she's yelling her Digimon's name over and over again, begging for Meicoomon to come back, because they've like, probably the longest they've been separated is like a couple of hours, or, you know, however long that, you know, that like Meiko's been at school and everything. As opposed, and like that was like a willing separation, because like Meiko had to go to school, but, you know, Meicoomon, you know, was just like, okay, fine, I'll stay here at the house and I'll be good. But now Meicoomon is kind of running away on, you know, running off on her own. And then we move on to Digimon Confession, which is the third movie in the series for the Digimon Adventure Tri. And Meiko is telling the rest of the Digidestineds more about like her past with Meicoomon. And, you know, she's still broken down in tears and everything. And Izzy is trying to pressure Meiko into information about Meikoomon's infection, because it determined that, okay, Meicoomon was infected, and that it could cause the rest of the Digimon. And, you know, this is, you know, Mimi is like berating Izzy for like being mean to Meiko and everything. And like, he reminds Mimi of like, this has the potential to spread to the rest of our Digimon as well. And, you know, Mimi and Izzy are arguing, and Sora is still trying to comfort Meiko. And, you know, Meiko is just trying to plead for forgiveness and everything. And, you know, her father is actually this leading professor on infected Digimon. And, you know, he's having this big meeting with the um, Incorporated Administrative Agency about Meicoomon and the infection and everything. And Meiko kind of is off on her own for a little while, trying to, you know, kind of deal with her loss and everything, of course. And, you know, at some point, Sora goes and visits Meiko. And this is also going on, like, Izzy is, like, trying to figure out what's going on with the virus, and, like, the rest of the Digidestin are, like, you know, trying to figure out what's going on with their Digimon, and the Digimon are, like, you know, the virus is kind of spreading within the Digimon, unfortunately. And so they're all just trying to, you know, keep everything, you know, this is still, you know, part of the story is moving forward, but we get this with Meiko. And Sora goes to visit Meiko, bring her, you know, homework for the summer and everything. And they're talking, and Sora tells Meiko about when Kai, you know, dark digivolved Agumon into black, you know, into Skull Greymon so many years ago when they were kids. And Meiko just, she breaks down crying, but Sora's trying to explain to her that, you know, but, you know, Agumon came back from that, and Agumon and Tai are even better than they were. They're stronger. Their relationship is stronger than even it had been then. And, you know, Meicoomon, you know, could be fine as well. Could be fine as well once they get the ability to get her calmed down. And Meiko is just, you know, still breaks down crying, but she does return to the school and everything. She's reunited with the others. And they're all just, you know, they're able to, she's more welcomed into the group and everything. But what happens is, at one point, TK goes to visit her at her house. And TK said, no, it's not that they're at their house at that point in time. TK and her are, like, talking on the beach. And TK confesses to Meiko that Patamon is fighting the infection. And, you know, that just makes her feel even worse, because it's just like, well, it's one thing if it was just not my Digimon, but now it's TK's Digimon as well, and it's probably going to spread to the others. And, you know, Meiko reveals that Meicoomon is the source of the infection. And, you know, she still rejects the offer to join the team because she's too sick with guilt and everything. But TK's like, we're still your friends, and you can still come and meet up with us and meet up with the others and everything. And she has, you know, Meiko keeps having these different flashbacks, of course, of, like, when she was growing up with Meicoomon and everything. And, you know, yeah, there were times where they had a lot of fun and everything, but there were also times where Meicoomon would, like, go off, and she would end up coming back with, like, blood on her paws. And it was, like, blood because, like, she'd, like, killed a bird or something. And it was like those were different instances where the virus was interacting with it. And this also ends up landing over the same time frame when the Digidestined, where there's the reboot that's going on. And you know, where the digital world is going to reboot, and that means that the Digimon are going to reboot as well. And there ends up being this other big fight that they have with Meicoomon. She digivolved again into the Meicoomon or something like that. I can't pronounce the name. And, you know, they had this huge battle with her, and, you know, this is when Izzy and, Izzy and Tentamon, you know, connect, and, you know, this is where we get Hercules Kabuterimon, and he's able, you know, the digital world unfortunately does reboot, and that includes Meicoomon, because I think that rebooting the digital world will get rid of the virus. And what ends up happening is, you know, the others then go to the digital world, and Meicoomon is left in the real world. Or, not Meicoomon, Meiko is left in the real world. Meiko and Meicoomon, that's very... Which one am I going to be saying in this sentence now? But then we enter Lost, which is the fourth one. The rest of the Digidestined did go to the digital world, and Meiko does end up getting transported into the digital world, and she finds Sora and Biyomon when they're in this desert area. This is during the time frame when Sora and Biyomon are not getting along with each other because Biyomon is acting like she despises Sora. and doesn't want anything to do with her. And they end up getting attacked by, you know, Meicoomon, because Meicoomon still has this fear of abandonment, and she saw Meiko, and, you know, Meiko tries to calm Meicoomon down, but then they're attacked by Dark Genii, and, you know, as he's disguised as Ken and everything, and he's, you know, attempting to capture, you know, Meicoomon and Sora, and, you know, trying to capture all of them, and then there's still this more big battle that goes on, and you know, the other Digidestin have shown up, and they're trying to help protect Meicoomon and protect Meiko, but Genii kind of holds holds Meiko captive, and he's trying to force Meicoomon to digivolve even further by putting Meiko in danger. And because he has this plan that he wants to reboot Yggdrasil, the whole core of the digital world even more, because he wants to get rid of humans, because the digital world sees the humans as a virus, the Digidestins as a virus. And this, you know, him attacking Meiko makes Meicoomon digivolve into even further. And this is when she goes into her Meicoomon vicious mode again, and she's causing even more problems, and she's very powerful in the fact that she's causing like rips in the digital world and such. And then we move into Coexistence, or Coexist, which is the fourth one in the series. You know, they're able to Tai is able to save Meiko from Meikoomon's attack, and the Digidestin do eventually end up landing in the real world again. And Daigo shows up, who's, you know, Nishijima. He shows up and he helps them and their Digimon partners, and they hide in the school. And, you know, the Digidestin are trying to console Meiko and make her feel better and everything. And like Tai and Meiko kind of have this kind of heart-to-heart conversation where, you know, that they just kind of bond. Tai says something stupid and then he wanders off, and then Agumon comes and talks to Meiko, and, you know, it's like this whole thing of like Tai says something sometimes that he doesn't necessarily mean, because Tai is hot-headed, and we know this from, you know, any Digimon, you know, first season, second season, other Digimon stuff. Tai is hot-headed, very much true. But, you know, so Tai and Meiko are kind of, you know, they're trying to, you know, fix their relationship or so. And, you know, the rest of the Digidestin are, of course, being supportive of Meiko and such, and like saying, well, we'll try to get Meicoomon back. And what ends up happening is, Meicoomon, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. She's running rampant the next day, and Meiko is trying to calm her down and everything, when they're interrupted by Jesmon, and he's trying to attack Meicoomon, and then she ends up digivolving again into Regulamon. And which, I mean, like, I like the designs that they came up with her. I very much like the designs that Meicoomon has for her evolutions. And in this process, this is when homeostasis possesses Kari again, and she warns the Digidestin not to interfere, that they're trying to destroy Regulamon and such. But, you know, that's not exactly you know, they don't want them to destroy her, because she's their friend, and she's, you know, Meiko's Digimon and such. And what ends up happening is Meiko does fall into despair, and she tells the Digidestin to destroy Meicoomon, destroy her. As in, like, not just try to, like, knock her down, but just destroy her, because she's causing so much problems and so much pain. Tai is willing to carry out her wishes, while the others don't want to. And this is when there's this huge battle between between like Omnimon and Regulamon and Jesmon and Alphamon. And there's this huge fissure that opens up, and this is when Tai and Daigo disappear through the fissure, and everybody thinks that Tai's dead. And of course, this is when Kari snaps, and when you know, Nyaramon Dark Digivolves all the way up to Ordinemon Fallen Down mode, and then her and Regalimon DNA Digivolve, and they form into Ordinemon. And that's not good. And then, of course, Ordinemon's power, you know, Digimon that are kind of Dark Digivolved are, of course, extremely powerful and extremely violent, and also extremely chaotic. And she makes all the, like, these different you know, portals are popping up in the real world and in the digital world, and like Digimon are flying through them and going into the real world to cause problems in the real world and attacking humans. And you know, our Digimon gets into the real world, and the Digidestins end up following her back into the real world. And you know, Meiko kind of takes up the duty of kind of keeping an eye on Koromon. And you know, she's holding on to Koromon, and admittedly, I put this here, I don't remember if I talked about this in the Tai video or not, but it has kind of been shown that a Digimon cannot exist without their Digidestin, that if a Digidestin dies, the Digimon dies as well. We saw this with Oikawa and Deuterimon, that when he died and became part of the digital world, Deuterimon appeared to die. We don't know if that actually happened or not, but that appears to be the case. But, you know, that's not 100% confirmed to a degree. So the fact that Koromon is still around implies that Tai should still be alive. And, you know, Meicoomon kind of takes over the, you know, keeping an eye on Koromon for the time being. And, you know, it's like, my heartstrings. And then we enter Future, which should be number 5 in the series. And, you know, they get their way back to the digital world and into the real world. And, you know, they're trying a way to save both Gatomon and Meicoomon without harming them. Hackmon, who's this Digimon that is kind of, it works with homeostasis, and that they're going to act another digital world reboot that will, you know, destroy Ordinemon, and that would destroy Meicoomon and Gatomon, of course. And it would also do like a ton of damage to like the human world's digital, you know, digital data and everything, and like their technology, you know, to cripple all of mankind's infrastructure, which is not good because our infrastructure needs to be fixed anyway. But you know, Matt and the others are of course refusing to give up, and that they use, you know, Meiko is willing to use herself as a lure to lure Ordinemon away from the city, so that way she's not causing as much damage. And they're trying to, you know, confront Ordinemon and get her to calm down, but it's not working. During this time frame is when Kari has this dream where she's able to communicate with Gatomon inside of Meicoomon, and where Gatomon is like, okay, so you know, everything that you need is inside of Meicoomon, and she's just ready to rest. She's been through enough. And, you know, Kari gives this information to Izzy, and Izzy is able to then kind of hack his way into Meicoomon, into Ordinemon, and that's where he realizes that all of the data, all of the memories that the other Digimon had before the reboot, because after the reboot, the other Digimon don't remember anything about the Digidestined or any of the adventures they've been on or anything like that. But all of that data is inside of Meicoomon. And what ends up happening is, you know, he hacks into that and he releases that data, and, you know, all of the memories fled back to the other Digimon. And then, you know, Gatomon is able to get pulled out of Ordinemon, and she, you know, is able to then digivolve properly up to her her form, Magnadramon. I think so. And then, of course, there's this, you know, battle where, you know, all of the Digimon, the Digidestin's Digimon DNA digivolve together to form Omnimon Merciful Mode. Tai, of course, showed back up in this time frame, which was like, oh, good, Tai's not dead. And then, you know, they all get the memories back. And Tai, and, you know, they get Omnimon Merciful Mode. And he does destroy Ordinemon and Meicoomon. It's more Meiko is like, she wants to be put out of her misery. And, you know, she was in a lot of pain, and, you know, she doesn't want Meicoomon to be in that pain anymore because of the virus. And she is able to, you know, she's able to say goodbye to Meicoomon via, you know, they kind of interact one more time, and she says goodbye to her. And, you know, the other Digidestins are, of course, they're happy that their Digimon have their memories back, but they basically just destroyed one of their own friends. And it's kind of confirmed that, like, Meicoomon cannot come back. And that's a sad thing, because when Patamon died, way back in the beginning, when Patamon got turned back into a Digiegg because he got destroyed by Devimon, Patamon came back. Willis's Digimon came back. You know, Cocomon came back. You know, when the reboot happened, the other Digidestin's Digimon came back. Yeah, they didn't have their memories, but they still got them back in the end. When Wormmon died, Wormmon came back to Ken. And, you know, we see that. And, you know, down the line, when we get to, you know, Last Evolution, when, like, Tai and Sora and Matt have to say goodbye to their Digimon, and that implies that the rest of the Digidestins are going to have someday have to say goodbye to their Digimon as well. We know that via the, you know, the prologue, the epilogue at the end of the second season, that they all get their Digimon back somehow. And it's basically implied that Meiko is the one that does not. And I will be talking about that after I finish talking about, like, what we see from Meiko and Meicoomon. And, you know, they're all, you know, Meiko and the others, you know, she is happy for them, and, you know, they have their Digimon back with their memories, and she returns to her hometown. And, you know, homeostasis shuts down King Drazel. I will talk about, like, homeostasis in another video at some point. And then we get 3 months later on Christmas Eve. Tai is awkwardly talking to Meiko over the phone and everything, and Agumon interrupts, and he's saying, you know, that they'll always be friends. And I think we see the rest of the Digidestin there too, and, like, you know, we're all still going to be friends no matter what, because that's what we are. And then we do get to see Meiko in Last Evolution. Her and Meicoomon are, like, trapped in their little crystallized digital world that, you know, Menoa and Eosmon put them in, where they kind of get to be, you know, in their memories again, and where Meiko gets to have Meicoomon back. Which I'm like, okay, so we get to see that, but, you know, we don't know exactly if Meiko, what else happens with Meiko. It's assumed that Meicoomon does not ever come back, unfortunately, which is very, very sad, because, you know, as I stated, all the other Digimon come back. Meicoomon does not. And we don't know, like, down the line, like, I'm going to state this here. I don't remember if I stated it in Ty's video or not, but I would be okay if, like, we know at some point that, like, Tai gets married because he has a kid, that I would be okay if, like, he married Meiko, because they had a nice connection, and I would be okay if they married. Or even, like, you know, TK and Meiko kind of had a nice connection as well, and I would be okay with them. We don't ever see Meiko again. I mean, there's always a possibility they might do something else Digimon related down the line, where we might get to see, you know, Meiko again. I know that currently there's the reboot of, like, Digimon Adventures that's been going on that I wouldn't mind watching at some point. And they're, like, changing a few things and, like, speeding up the story a little bit from what I've seen, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't think they're going to have Meiko in that, but maybe there might be something down the line that they might do where she pops up. And, you know, as I stated, like, Meiko and Kari are supposed to be kind of like this two sides of the coin with their Digimon. You know, they both have these cat-like Digimon that both have, you know, that are both in their champion forms most of the time. And, yeah, Gatomon turns into this angel and then a dragon, whereas you know, Meicoomon turns into this more feral looking cat, and then even to a more feral looking cat, and then when they both have like their dark versions of digivolving, they turn into Ordinamon together. And this extremely powerful, over the top, fallen angel looking thing. And yeah, there's that connection there between the two of them. But then again, Meiko also makes connections with, you know, Mimi and with Sora, and, you know, with the other Digidescents as well, which I like. The one that she interacts with the least is like Joe, but that's because he's not around too often. But they do get better at being, you know, Joe does get to spend some time with Meiko, and he gets to know her a little bit. But the rest of them got to interact with her a bit more because they were either in their class with her or just, you know, being around her and like going to the spa and everything. But I do love the fact how the Digidestineds are just like, they just instantly welcome Meiko into, you know, being a member of their group. I just love how they do that. And then give me 1 second while I pull up the other thing that I wanted to mention for this. The thing that I wanted to point out, and someone else pointed this out beautifully in a post that I saw on Tumblr at some point. And I don't know who posted it. If by some chance that person sees this video and hears me say it, if it was you, then like mention something or other, because I don't know where I don't remember who posted it. But someone had pointed out the fact that every single time that we do see a Digimon die, for whatever reason, they always come back. Even the bad ones somehow find a way to come back. But Meicoomon does not. And it's this whole concept of, you know, you have to forcibly put the character down for their own good. And, you know, they kind of, you know, they talk about that and they put that in the post. And, you know, it's like every section of the franchise, a Digimon dies, they come back in some form. Tamers doesn't go into that too much, because like we do see Leomon die in Tamers, which I'll of course go over when I go over the Tamers Digimon down the line. But you know, a part of him is still in like Beelzemon. But you know, as I stated, you know, TK gets Patamon back, and yeah, Tai Dark Digivolved Agumon, and he got him back. You know, and you know, they all got separated from their Digimon again at the end of the series, but they all found their way back to each other in the end when they all came back. And, you know, Ken, you know, lost Wormmon, and then Wormmon came back. And, you know, Gatomon went through hell and found her way back to Kari because of Myotismon. And, you know, we see all of that. And then, like, we see Willis with, like, Kokomon. They came back. And the person put in the post, and I love this, sometimes in life things spiral out of control, and all of a sudden you have to make hard choices, and sometimes you lose things, you lose friends, you lose people, and it sucks, it hurts, and it's not fair, but it's always worth it. But it always works out. There's a kind of fundamental justice in the universe where as long as you hold on and keep going and never give up, nothing is ever really gone forever. The next good day is always just around the corner. Everything always pays off, and good people never get screwed, at least not for long. It's instantly comforting, and on some level, to at least some extent. It's the kind of story we all need to hear now and then, especially when we're kids. It's the kind of story that teaches you what hope is and why it matters. And then you grow up. And then you realize that literally none of that has ever been true. And as I say, if whoever put this post up on Tumblr, I don't remember where I found it on Tumblr, but whoever put this post up, you put into words what I was trying to figure out how to say, and just whoever put that there. And you know, it's like they're specifically talking about Digimon because, you know, yeah, Digimon always has that effect of like reincarnation, that the Digimon can come back, that they get reborn one way or another, that they will come back to you. And yeah, it's when you grow up, you realize that that is not true. And, the person in the post goes on to say, sometimes you really do just lose things, and there's not a good reason for it. It doesn't mean anything. It's pointless, and it's senseless, and it's miserable, and nothing will ever make it okay. Sometimes miserable things really are just purely miserable. Meiko isn't just a character in the series. This is still from the post, and whoever posted this, I appreciate so much. If you watch this video and you see this in me quoting with this, please just post in the comments or something. Meiko is us, the audience. Everyone who's ever written self-interest Digimon fan fiction, everyone who ever would come back and watch a Digimon revival series 15 years after the fact. None of us are the same people we were in 1999. All of us have lost more than we can ever describe. At the very least, we will not cry. At the very least, we have lost our childhoods. So, Meiko has to lose her Digimon. I got through Ty and Matt's videos and I still cried. And that nothing will ever make that okay. Even if it happened for a reason, it's still an effing bullshit reason that it ever had to happen at all. And that certainly doesn't make it hurt less. Sometimes you just lose things, and your life changes forever. But even if this one loss can never be erased or made up for, even this specific gaping hole in your heart stays open and bleeding forever. That doesn't mean there aren't still other reasons to keep going. And Agumon does that. Agumon, I can do this. Yeah. Call me a crybaby, right? I don't care. Agumon made sure that Meiko knew that they were always going to be friends. That she will always have the other Digidestined to go to if she needs it. On this channel, I've talked about other anime where they talk about loss, where they talk about characters dying. With My Hero, I've done at least 2 videos where I talk about death, if not 3. One Piece, and almost every single one of the different parents' days, family days, whatever videos, I've talked about death one way or another. Whether it's they lost their mother or their father or their grandparent or a sister or a brother. In some form of those, they have lost something. But with Digimon, they always gave you the hope that they could come back. And Meiko was this representation that they don't always come back. But Meiko kept going. She had her parents, and she still had the other Digidestined. And I would say they put that there as a reminder to the audience. As a reminder to the audience that they are not alone. Yeah, go ahead. Call me a crybaby in the comments. I don't care. I wanted to say this and I did. Meiko reminds us all to keep going. And that's about the best I have for where to end this video. Sorry, took me a little bit to calm down after that. I forgot how emotional reading that post made me when I first read it, and then reading it again live on camera. Yeah, sorry about that. Again, if you're the person that put that post up on Tumblr, and if you ever see this video, go ahead and put a comment or something, or so. We'll see. If I ever find the link again, I'll try to put it in the video. But that's what I have for this video for Meiko and Meicoomon. The next one, as I said, will be Diego Nishijima and Maki Himakawa. And they're the two adult agents that we see interact with the Digidestined throughout the course of the Digimon Adventures Tri-series, and I'll go over them. And then the video after that will be Menowa Bellucci, who is, of course, the adult Digidestined that we meet in Digimon The Last Evolution. So, again, I apologize. Yeah, go ahead, call me a crybaby in the comments. As I said, that's fine. Few edits in that area simply just because of the fact that I can be a crybaby at times, depending on how much you're willing to pull at my heartstrings, particularly when you get my childhood involved. So that's what we have for this video for Meiko, and Meicoomon. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that, if it made you cry me talking about that, I apologize. If it made you, just be a little bit more appreciative of, your own childhood, for how, hopefully a good childhood. But just, remember, every single person in the world, whether you've watched Digimon or not, has lost something, whether it's a family member or a friend or a pet or whatever else. You've lost something that you loved, someone that you loved. And Meiko is this representation of that in the Digimon series. And because she doesn't get Meicoomon back. And of course, in the real world, in real life, you lose something like that, you don't get it back. I know that from personal experience with family members that I've lost over the years. And it's, it's not a fun thing that happens, but it's, part of life. So I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a nice rest of your day. Bye. Each of us is linked to our Digimon, and that bond can't be broken. You're the one who taught me that.